What's going on, Islanders fans? It's Aidan Northcott here again on another Tuesday night. It's a beautiful one here on Prince Edward Island. Hope you're all spending it exactly as you should be. If you're sitting around this just with your phone, if you're sitting at your computer, appreciate you being here. But I hope you're able to do it on a deck or something like that because it is really nice out right now. One guy who's experienced a few PEI seasons now, and lives somewhere in paradise. So I don't necessarily know if that means it's nicer there than it is here right now, but with a name like Paradise, it can't be that bad. So with me is none other than Newfoundland's own Brett Budgell. Brett, how's it going?
It's good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, I always ask the same question starting out on these things. Where have you been spending your time since the quarantine started or the isolation started, and what has been your go-to outfit?
I where I am, I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland. I'm with my family. Kind of been spending the past couple months here. My go-to outfit, I would say, probably the exact sweater I'm wearing now, the Charlottetown Islanders one. It's extremely comfortable, and probably just a pair of shorts. It's been some nice weather here recently.
So, when you say like you're in St. John's, like is that just easier than saying Paradise, or are you not in Paradise at all?
Yeah. Well, I live in a town called Paradise, but
Okay.
it's about 50 minutes from St. John's.
Okay, it's kind of like when someone says I live in Charlottetown, but it's they live in Stratford or
Yeah,
I live.
Stratford, Charlottetown. It's pretty much the
Yeah.
same thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's June. You say it's nice over there. Is the snow all gone?
Yeah, snow's finally gone. When I first came home, there's still a lot left
What
from the
what were
weather, but
what was the scene like at your guys' place at home? Like I mean everybody saw the pictures of like what it looked like all through Newfoundland. Was your guys' house out of one of those pictures?
yeah, my sister's room actually, it's a well that goes to the basement. Her door was completely blocked off with snow. Like the cars were covered up, and yeah, like I said, when I came home, the snowbanks were still 6 feet high. So, and that was I believe that was in March. So,
That's hilarious. No, it's I remember like when we had like the snowpocalypse over here in like 2015. It was the exact same. Like it was like you couldn't like get out of like you couldn't. I remember we stayed at a buddy's place. We left like we weren't at our apartment, but we could have easily walked off his second floor balcony and just like jumped into a snowbank. It was insane, and we were like stuck there for probably like 3 or 4 days because our car wasn't moving.
yeah, that's a crazy amount of snow.
All right, so you've been kind of making the rounds a little bit on social media lately with the CHL Showdown. You made it all the way to the finals. Unfortunately, didn't win, but like your play from Players Weekend was all over the place. I couldn't turn on my phone without getting a notification from that. How is that to relive that moment?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was a special goal to score on a night like Players' Night. It was something that we look forward to all year. I remember earlier in the season on the bus, we were looking at pictures of the jerseys that we were kind of flipping through. Obviously, we didn't have the final say or anything, but it was just nice to get an idea what they were going to look like. And yeah, no, it was kind of cool to relive those hockey memories from the season because I've definitely been missing it a lot. So
Oh man, it's been like every time I see like a highlight, I'm just like, I want this back now. Like, have you had a chance to get on the ice yet? Because I know like a lot of people in Nova Scotia are now getting to that point where they can get on the ice. I saw like pictures of like Jake Gooby on the ice and Oscar Fandowski on the ice. Have you had a chance to do that yet, or?
No, actually, the rinks are still closed here in Newfoundland. Hopefully, with the way we did it, it started at phase five, and the rinks open up at phase two. We're currently in phase three,
Okay,
and they're hoping to open it up faster than expected because of low case numbers. So hopefully,
awesome.
it goes a little quicker.
Yeah, seriously. Hopefully that would be ideal for you guys. How have you been keeping yourself in shape? Just like home workouts?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty good home gym, like lots of different equipment, and I ordered a pair of I'm not sure if you know what they are, but they're called Mars blades. They're
Oh yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they're just rollerblades, but they go onto your actual skates. So it's actually really similar to skating. The only difference is you can't really stop, so you just kind of spin
Just
around in a circle,
glide.
go down, yeah, or glide into the wall. So
I would be fantastic at that. That's about the extent of I can skate, I can stop. I just if I was on rollerblades, I'd be done. All right, so I want to start with a couple of questions, just more. you've been now, you're going into your fourth season in Charlottetown. Third, it it feels like has not been that long that you've been here on the island. But I wanted to start with basically back at the beginning and moving to Charlottetown. But obviously, what came before that was a move down south to Chicago. Talk about that experience. I don't know if you and I have ever talked about that between the two of us. Just like asking about Chicago. How was that?
Yeah, no, it was a good experience. As a young kid, being 15 years old, it's hard to decide, what you're gonna pick. The route that you're gonna pick is gonna decide your whole future and pretty much what your whole life is gonna turn out to be. So it's a big decision to make, and I wanted to explore all my options. So yeah, initially I went to Charlottetown in my 16-year-old season, or I went to Chicago rather, sorry. And yeah, it was a good experience, but at the end of the day, I wanted to be closer to home. And Charlottetown, they had a great first half of that season. And when I came at Christmas, um, everyone kind of knows the story about what happened there. We made it to the third round of the playoffs, and it was a wonderful experience.
Well, it's like I think one of the things that you said and the word you used a lot was experience, and I feel like that's such a big important thing. Like you said it, you're 16 years old and you're having to make a decision that is going to impact the next, like, as you see now, we're at like 4 years here in Charlottetown, but like if you stay in Chicago, that's impacting you and affecting your life for the next 6, 7, 8 years. It's a lot for a 16-year-old to have to decide, and especially kind of like promptly, like you get to Charlottetown, you have basically 48 hours to decide if you're staying or if you're going. You know,
Yeah,
how much
no,
pressure did you feel there?
Um, I had a lot of support from my family and a lot of friends and stuff. So I think the decision was, at the end of the day, it was my decision, and I'm
Right.
definitely happy with my decision. But yeah, it was a lot of I don't know if I'd say pressure, but it was a lot easier with the support I had.
Yeah, and I mean, I think obviously it goes without saying. I think everything works out for a reason, and I would think the fans of Charlottetown, at least, and I hope it will go the same way, that you're ultimately happy with the decision to stay here in the queue and
Yeah,
to
couldn't
play.
be happy.
That's awesome. So I mean, you mentioned joining on to that team that went on the magical run in 17-18. I've asked countless players and I've talked to countless guys about that run, about what it meant to them. But I think I don't know the answer for everybody, but how much more special was it for you to be there as a 16-year-old? That's your first taste of like the Q playoffs, it's your first taste of Q hockey, and you're making this deep magical Cinderella run. Like what was that experience like from that point of view?
Um, yeah, it was crazy for sure. You don't realize it when you're 16, and it's some guys last year, they're 20 years old and they're in the playoffs. And it didn't actually hit me until after we were knocked out, and you realize that these guys are not coming back next year, right? And so yeah, it was crazy experience, to get to experience the Quebec rink in the playoffs, which is the Videotron Center, which seats 18,000 people. We got to play in Halifax the next series, which is 11,000 seat rink, and then Blainville, which it's a smaller rink, but I think it was the loudest out of all three in the third round, it was amazing experience, all three of those rinks. And just kind of what playoff hockey's all about. It's
The,
going against the same team every other night. And yeah, no, it was something special for sure.
the thing, like, it's funny that you mentioned Quebec, because, like, man, I remember, like, this was my first year, our game here or in Quebec this year. It was my first time experiencing like a Quebec Rampart game at the Videotron Center. Was there obviously for the draft and was like blown away by the arena, but like seeing it in game mode was kind of like another, like, holy crap, like this is quite the get up. I'd like to forget that game, but the experience itself was pretty cool. That was the
Yeah,
yeah.
I believe that was it was around Christmas. The Santa Claus. That was when I went to shake his hand. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember. It was right
That
before
was
it.
baseball.
Oh yeah, Santa Claus was that center
Yeah,
ice.
went to shake his hand. He wouldn't. Or
That was it.
yeah,
That was the end of the night. It was everything from there was downhill, because I
yeah,
remember that
everything
was
was
not a
down.
pretty game. I think it was 8-3
Yeah.
was the final score. I was like, yes. Yeah. I remember we get to if I wasn't working, there was definitely, like, in our booth, we were kind of like, it was 7-3, I think, going into the third. And we're like, do we leave? I'm like, I have to work. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Um, so then you come in the next season and you stepped kind of you played half a season in the queue and you were already wearing a letter as a 17-year-old, had an A on your chest. You were kind of not, I wouldn't say thrust into a leadership role, but you were definitely like took on a leadership role fairly early in your career. How did that feel to be trusted by your teammates with that?
Um, it's obviously it's a good feeling. I wouldn't say that it was obviously it is a leadership role, but I think every year I've played in Charlottetown that each guy has been a leader in their own way, and everyone brings something different to the table, and if that's yeah, I mean if that's what I can bring to the table, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and yeah, it's I had a lot of good mentors kind of every day to driving to the rink. I drove with P.O. Joseph, and he was obviously the captain for a few years, and yeah, I kind of learned the ropes from that guy, and he's not a bad person to learn the ropes from. So,
But did you learn how to drive standard from him?
I tried to, tried to.
So like now is your chance to like defend yourself after that story and to talk about what it was like take us through it from your point of view. For those who didn't know and missed the P.O. Joseph episode, go back and watch it. It's a fantastic story about Brett learning how to drive a standard car down by Queen Charlotte Elementary and just basically getting out in the middle of the four-way because he couldn't get it installed. So tell this
Yeah,
point of view story from your point of view.
yeah, I believe P.O. pretty told it spot on. I don't really think I can defend myself too much. I know we were just I'm pretty sure we were just leaving my house on the way to the rink. Like every morning, he picked me up, and it was actually at the intersection of McGill and North River Road, that four-way stop. And yeah, like it was 8 a.m. in the morning. There's a lot of traffic going on. So as soon as I went to, you know, go out in that intersection, probably 50 feet from my billet house, I stalled it right in the middle of the intersection and tried it 2 or 3 times and couldn't get it to go. And there's people waiting. Obviously, it's rush hour. People got to go to work. And finally, I was just like, all right, PO, you gotta take over get me out of this. And so I got out of the car and was like, sorry to kind of everyone who was waiting. And yeah, PO hasn't let me live that one down yet. So
So can you drive? Do you know how to drive a standard yet?
actually, my first car I got was an automatic, so I haven't actually tried to learn standard since then.
Don't feel bad. I've learned. I've never owned a standard. The only time I've ever learned how to drive a standard was my buddy's '93 Toyota Tercel that had a hockey blade for the stick shifter. Back when I was in high school, it was a piece of junk. So it's I've never learned. I'm probably never going to learn. So I'm right there with you on that one. So yeah, like I told you beforehand, like we'll keep it light, and I'm not gonna throw too many more hard hitting questions at you about your career. So let's play a little game of a few games here while we get some time. Um, I'll start with some name association. So I'll throw out a couple names. You just tell me the first thing or the first memory or the first word that basically comes to mind when you hear that name.
Right.
So the first one I'll start with. We'll start with Zach Beauregard.
The first word I think of is a tattoo. I actually seen he got a new one today.
I saw that.
Yeah, he loves his tattoos. He has a few, and yeah, they're pretty cool. So
I remember when he landed as a 17-year-old, like my first like training camp. I'm like, who is this guy? Like this, who is this like 5'5" full grown man with like the full sleeve on? I couldn't I couldn't believe it. It's the first. That's actually a great word. Next one, Noah Lowen.
no, he's just first word I think of is just genuine. He's just super genuine, great guy. We're actually taking a class with in UPEI right now together, so I talk to him fairly often, like weekly, and yeah, just a super great guy.
P.O. Joseph.
Uh, First thing I think of is that story about trying to learn standard. No, just another fantastic guy. Couldn't ask for anyone better, and he's a great first captain, and one of the best guys I've ever met.
Hunter Drew.
Yeah, I mean,
What can you say that
Another great
hasn't already
guy.
been
Don't get me
said?
wrong. He's a fantastic guy. He just, he's a bit of a loose cannon on the ice, and he stuck up for me more than once. So gotta hand it to him. He's a great guy.
I was telling a story. I forget who I was telling it to. It might have been PO. Not that long ago, actually. We talked. Hunter's name came up just in conversation, and I said there was never. There was one game in particular I remember. It was we were playing Sherbrooke. Um, it was the day we had we had something going on in the morning. Anyways, like some sort of event, and we lost like fairly bad to Sherbrooke. We were down like 6-1 or something like that. And I will never forget, right near the end of the game, about 30 seconds left, uh, Voyer took a run at Cormier and like hit him pretty hard behind
Yeah,
the net.
I remember this. Yeah,
And I was like, that was the day I've seen like Hunter mad. I've seen him get worked up. Like there was like nothing. The blinders were on and like there was nothing going on between the eyes. Like he was just like pissed. I remember he was standing on the bench, just like tearing the plexiglass down to try and like get through the timekeeper's box, like over to Voyer.
yeah,
I've never seen the guy lose it. I loved every second of it. It was so funny.
yeah. You definitely want him on your team for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wouldn't want to play against him. Next one's Liam Payton.
Oh, Liam Payton. Another great guy. I mean, like you said, he's just recently traded, so it's sad to see him go. But definitely gonna cherish all the memories I've made with that guy. He's another just fantastic guy. I'm really close with Liam.
And then the last one I'll do is Nikita Alexandrov.
uh, yeah, I mean, I could say the same thing for everyone. Everyone's
Yeah.
super great guy, but yeah, no, me and Nikita, we definitely had like a few pre-game rituals is the thing that I would think of before we went on the ice with that guy. And in warm-ups, we do certain little things and just kind of get our heads in the right mindset to go into the game. So that was I think
So what were some of those pre-game rituals?
in warm-ups, actually on the ice, we'd always probably about 14 minutes in, maybe I can't remember. It was near the end of warm-up. We go to center ice and we kind of pick up the puck and bat it back to each other, and then we just skate into the end and give him a one-timer, and he'd he'd score. We have to make sure that he scored. If he missed, we had to do it again.
He had some awesome ones. I liked he always had to be like the second one on the ice behind the goalie, and Spider would throw him the puck. I don't know why it's such a unique one that I liked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was definitely had a lot of rituals for sure.
All right, so next kind of game we'll play, we'll have a little bit more fun. Um, you're obviously a Newfoundlander. I can hear it in your voice. I can hear when you've been home. Like my dad is the same way. My dad's from Eastern end of Newfoundland, but when you've been home, the Newfoundland accent comes in a little bit more. Like the first words you said to me when you picked up at the Zoom call was "What are you at?" Um, so I got a couple of sayings here, and I'd like you to. They're not crazy ones. I don't think they're fairly common, but like you to explain to people what that saying means.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is so keep it simple. Is where are you to?
Where are you to? That just means where are you really? I wouldn't even think that's a Newfoundland saying.
It is, and here's why. I'll tell you why. When I first moved to PEI, I would say where are you to because again, like I just got it from my dad. But when someone asked me where I was to here, and I was like, right in front of you. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, no, like where are you to? Like right here. And I had this like literally back and forth. He's like, no, it's a PEI thing. Where are you going?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like,
I've
no,
never
like
heard that.
that's what I said. I'm like, I was like, I never heard that. And then a buddy of mine says it all the time. Same thing. He says, where are you to? And he says, it's where are you going?
Where are you going? Yeah. So when I hear that, I hear where are you to means where am I?
That's exactly what I think. All right. Next one is who knit ya?
Just your parents. Exactly what that means.
So what is it? You don't know who knit you means? You just
Who knit
know,
you just means yeah, like who are your parents?
yeah, like who raised you almost, yeah.
Yeah, who raised you? Who's your parents?
All right. You got me drove.
That just means someone's on your nerves. So, I say that sometimes to my sister when she's, or she says it to me probably more of the time.
And I you can you feel free to throw some at me and see if I can do these as well. But the last one I have is stay where you're to till I comes where you're at.
Yeah. So well, if you're trying to meet someone somewhere,
Yeah.
usually use like, say if I was meeting someone in a park or something and they explain where they were, I would say, all right, well, stay where you're to till I come to where you're at. That means like I'll come to you. So you stay where you are and then I'll come to you. So
I quite I love Newfoundland slang. It's like some of my favorite. It's like what would be some phrases that like what are some common ones that you would use that like people have you said it like at the rink and people are like, what did you just say to me?
Ah, yeah, see, it's difficult to say because now I've been home for a few months and I
Yeah.
just think it's actually how everyone talks.
Right.
But yeah, I know it happens a lot. And it's not intentional. You're just talking to someone and you say something that you think that, everyone speaks that way. And they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, oh,
My uncle has a severely a thick accent, severely thick Newfoundland accent, and I know I'm a fast talker as it is, and when I get like him and I get in front of each other, and like it's always the same thing. We're both like, What did you just say?" And it's the same thing. He's like, "I didn't catch a word you just said." I'm like, "It's fair," but that's
yeah, that happens sometimes as well. I just speak too fast. And even if I say something that's like a Newfoundland saying that they wouldn't understand, and I just say it too fastly, so it doesn't register as anything. So then I just repeat it slower and in proper English, I guess you could say.
Newfoundlandese. That's the word I always heard used with it. All right, man. Well, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks again for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and hopefully you can get on the ice soon.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, perfect. We'll leave you to the rest of your night and enjoy the rest of your day.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. All right, guys. That was Brett Budgell. Appreciate you all once again for sticking around, taking the time to watch tonight. Be sure to join us again next week, 7 p.m. Atlantic here on Tuesday nights. Same place as always, Facebook.